Stop scrolling. What I'm about to tell you did not happen last week. It did not happen yesterday. It happened hours ago. And if you do not understand what just happened, you are going to be blindsided by what comes next. Because this morning, the United States Supreme Court delivered a ruling that could shake the entire 2024 election cycle. All 9 justices unanimous, and the headline everyone is repeating is this: the Trump Organization is being dissolved. But tonight, I need to tell you something very important. This is no longer just a Trump story. This is a story about power. This is a story about precedent. This is a story about a new legal line being drawn by the highest court in the country. And once a line like this exists, it does not stay pointed at only one person. Welcome to U.S. News Global Story Point. I'm Rachel Maddow. And what I found inside the actual ruling, not the headlines, not the summaries, not the talking points, explains why this moment may end up being remembered as one of the most dangerous and consequential in modern American politics. So take a breath, stay with me, because this goes deeper than anyone is telling you. Part 1, the headline versus the real story. Here is the version you are hearing everywhere else. The court says the Trump Organization engaged in years of systematic deception. Assets inflated to secure favorable loans. The same assets suddenly deflated when taxes were due. Banks received one set of numbers. Insurance companies received another. Tax authorities received a third. Same buildings, same properties, completely different values. The court concluded this was not accidental, not sloppy, not isolated. They ruled it was structural, built into how the organization operated. And because of that, the court did not simply impose fines. They ordered termination, liquidation, dissolution. The corporate entity ceases to exist. Historic, unprecedented. But that is not the real story. The real story is why the court says it has the authority to do this. Because buried deep inside the ruling, page 47, is a short section of legal reasoning that is already sending shock waves through legal and political circles. Not because it targets Trump, but because it creates a standard that can be used again. Part 2, the blueprint. The court did not frame this as a special punishment for a uniquely bad actor. They framed it as a template. They wrote that when a corporate structure is designed in a way where systematic deception is baked into its operation, the state has the authority to dismantle the entire structure. Not find it, not warn it, not monitor it, end it. That language matters because it does not say Trump Organization. It says any organization, any corporate shell, any business network, any entity that functions as a vehicle for sustained fraud. This is not a narrow ruling. This is a precedent. And when precedents are created at the Supreme Court level, they live forever. Part 3, why the timing is terrifying. The Supreme Court controls its own calendar. They did not have to release this ruling this week. They chose to at the exact moment when multiple Trump-related cases are approaching major procedural deadlines. At the exact moment when prosecutors across jurisdictions are evaluating next steps. This ruling does something very specific. It establishes the most extreme corporate remedy as legally justified, which means prosecutors no longer have to wonder if courts will tolerate aggressive action. The Supreme Court just told them the answer. Yes. Part 4. Panic inside the GOP. Publicly, Republicans are defending Trump, calling it political, calling it weaponization, calling it an attack on business. Privately, very different story. Multiple sources with access to Senate-level communications describe a wave of panic. One message circulated among senior strategists reads, "This is catastrophic. We need an exit strategy by Friday or we lose the entire 2024 map." Another replied, "How do we create distance without triggering a primary revolt? Every moderate seat is now exposed." Notice what they are not debating, not innocence, not guilt. Survival. Republicans in swing states understand the math. Defend Trump and lose independence. Distance from Trump and face a MAGA primary challenge. There is no safe move. Political checkmate. Part 5. Quiet cross-party talks. According to multiple sources, a small number of Republican senators have quietly opened channels with Democratic leadership. Not about ideology, about self-preservation. What happens if Trump is the nominee while his business empire is actively being dismantled? What happens to Senate candidates forced to answer for him every single day? This is contingency planning, the kind you only do when you believe a political earthquake is coming. Part 6. Wall Street's real verdict. Markets reacted instantly. Trump-linked assets fell. That part was expected. What wasn't expected? Defense contractors rising, private prison companies rising, major legal defense firms gaining interest. That tells you something. Wall Street is not pricing in Trump loses a company. Wall Street is pricing in years of legal warfare, institutional instability, prolonged national conflict. Part 7. Buffett's three-word warning. Warren Buffett issued a rare public statement. Rules matter most. Not about Trump, about the system. Translation. No individual is bigger than the framework. When Buffett speaks like this, it usually means he has already moved. And filings show Berkshire Hathaway quietly sold roughly $2.3 billion in commercial real estate last month before the ruling, before the headlines. Buffett does not guess, he positions. Part 8, the 90 signal. All 9 justices signed on, including Trump appointees, no concurring opinions, no separate explanations. That is extraordinary. When justices avoid writing separately in politically radioactive cases, it often means one thing. They do not want fingerprints. They want the ruling to stand. Period. Part 9, Trump's historical playbook. Step 1, declare the ruling fake. Step 2, attack the legitimacy of the court. Step 3, frame the loss as an existential threat to the country. We have already seen Step 1. We are entering Step 2. This is not about legal argument. This is about delegitimizing referees. And when people stop trusting referees, they stop accepting outcomes. That is how systems break. Part 10. The next 72 hours, expect emergency filings, expect stay requests, expect messaging framed as we tried everything. Republicans will be forced to choose. Support the court or support Trump's defiance. There is no middle ground. If Trump complies, we get years of courtroom warfare. If Trump refuses, the country enters uncharted territory because then law enforcement faces a question no democracy wants to confront. Do you enforce a Supreme Court order against a former president? Part 11, the bigger reach. This ruling does not stop at Trump. It applies to dark money networks, shell corporations, political front groups, any structure designed to hide misconduct behind complexity. Everyone with exposure heard the same message today. This tool can be used again. Part 12. Final thought. This moment is not about liking Trump. It is not about hating Trump. It is about whether the American system still has the capacity to enforce rules against the most powerful people in the country. The next 30 days will tell us a lot about the answer. Subscribe to US News Nexus. Turn on notifications because when the next filing drops, when the next move happens, you will not want the headline version. You will want the real one.